You feel that hot surge of frustration bubble up during a conversation. The words are right there, on the tip of your tongue, sharp, cutting, and you know you'll regret them. And in that split second, you say them anyway. Then comes that immediate sickening thud of regret as you watch the damage land on a relationship you care about. What if there were three simple fundamental rules that could stop these emotional takeovers before they even start? This isn't about becoming a robot or suppressing what you feel. It's about understanding the machinery of your own mind and using it to your advantage. This isn't about getting rid of your emotions. It's about getting rid of their control over you. That feeling of being hijacked by your own anger or anxiety, it's a universal human experience. It's what psychologist Daniel Goleman famously called an amygdala hijack. Your amygdala, the brain's ancient alarm system, senses a threat. The problem is, it's like a hypersensitive smoke detector. It can't tell the difference between you burning toast and the entire house being on fire. It just screams danger. Whether the threat is a tiger in the grass or a critical comment from your partner, and yanks the emergency brake on your rational mind. It floods your system with stress hormones, prepping you for a fight or flight response that is rarely helpful in modern life. For most of our lives, we're taught the absolute wrong way to handle this. We're told to calm down or suck it up. The go-to strategy is suppression. Just shove the feeling down and pretend it's not there. But that's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Sure, you can do it for a little while, but it takes a ton of energy, and the second you lose focus, that ball rockets to the surface with even more force. Research consistently shows that emotional suppression backfires, leading to more distress. So, what's the alternative? Stop fighting your biology and start working with it. It involves learning a new operating system, one built on three fundamental rules that will shift you from being a victim of your emotions to the calm, collected architect of your responses. The first rule is the most counterintuitive, but it's grounded in hard science, the rule of the 90-second window. This concept comes from Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, a Harvard-trained neuroanatomist. She discovered that when an emotion is triggered, a chemical process lights up in your body. That rush of heat, the racing heart, that's a literal chemical cocktail. Dr. Taylor found that the physiological lifespan of that initial chemical rush is only about 90 seconds. Think about that. The raw, physical power of an emotion lasts for just a minute and a half. After 90 seconds, that first wave of chemicals is completely flushed out of your system. So why does anger feel like it lasts for hours? Because we keep it on life support with our thoughts. We get stuck in a mental loop, replaying the event and rehearsing our arguments. Each time you engage that thought, you're essentially hitting replay on the most painful scene, forcing yourself to experience the crash all over again and re-triggering the chemical cascade. So, what's the move? Your job isn't to fight the feeling. For 90 seconds, your only job is to observe it. The next time you feel that intense surge, hit an imaginary pause button. Instead of reacting, you're going to become a scientist of your own experience for just 90 seconds. During this window, just watch the physical sensations. Notice the heat in your face. Feel the tension in your shoulders. Acknowledge your heart pounding. Think of yourself as a lighthouse keeper, standing safely inside as you watch the emotional storm rage outside. You don't judge it or resist it. You just watch the wave rise, crest, and then start to fall. Let's go back to that argument. The frustrating comment is made, and you feel that flash of anger. Instead of lashing out, you use Rule 1. You stay quiet. You tell yourself, okay, this is the 90-second wave. I'm just going to watch it. You focus on your breath. You feel your jaw clench, and you consciously relax it. By the time 60, 70, 80 seconds have passed, you'll notice the intensity is fading. The storm is passing, and you've created a critical gap between the trigger and your response. You haven't suppressed a thing. You've simply allowed your body to run its natural course. Riding out the 90-second wave buys you crucial space. But what do you do with it? That brings us to rule number 2. Name it to tame it. This phrase was coined by Dr. Dan Siegel, a clinical professor of psychiatry. His research shows that the simple act of putting feelings into words has a profound effect on your brain. When you're in the grip of a strong emotion, your reactive amygdala is lit up. But when you label that emotion, you engage your prefrontal cortex, the logical thinking part of your brain. Activating the thinking brain helps soothe the reactive brain, literally turning down the volume on your emotional meltdown. But here's the nuance that makes all the difference. The goal isn't just to say, I'm mad. It's to become a precise emotional detective. Most of us operate with a tiny emotional vocabulary. We feel good, bad, stressed. That's like trying to navigate a new city with a map that only shows 3 streets. To really get control, you have to get specific. Instead of, I feel bad, ask yourself, what is this really? Is it disappointment? Embarrassment? Are you feeling disrespected? Helpless? It's like walking into a dark, scary room. Your mind imagines a monster in the corner, but when you label the feeling, when you turn on the light, you see it's just a pile of laundry. Naming the emotion gives it a clear shape and size, making it far less intimidating. Once you have the word, you use language that creates distance. Instead of saying, I am angry, try saying, I'm noticing the feeling of anger. This seems like a tiny tweak, but it's monumental. I am angry as an identity. I am noticing a feeling makes you the calm observer of a temporary internal event. You are not the storm. You are the sky watching the storm pass. Let's plug this into our 90-second window. As you're riding that physiological wave, you're investigating. You think, okay, heart is racing. What is this? It's not just anger. It's the feeling of being misunderstood. It's a feeling of injustice. And then you state it. I am noticing the feeling of being misunderstood. Instantly, the emotion feels less like an all-consuming monster and more like a manageable piece of data. You've named it, and in doing so, you've started to tame it. You've ridden the 90-second wave. You've named the emotion and calmed your nervous system. Now comes the most important part, the moment where real mastery happens. This is the final rule. Make a value-based choice. Every emotion comes with a built-in suggestion. Anger suggests you attack. Fear suggests you run. These impulses are primitive and focused entirely on immediate relief, often at the expense of your long-term goals. Think of your emotions as a frantic backseat driver, screaming at you to make a sudden turn to avoid traffic, with no regard for where you're ultimately trying to go. Your values, on the other hand, are your personal constitution. They're the principles that define the person you want to be. They are the map and compass you hold in your hands. They don't scream, but they show you the true path toward your destination. The action here is to consciously override the emotion's suggestion by asking one powerful question: what action aligns with my values right now? Or, to put it another way, what would the person I want to be do in this situation? This question completely reframes your decision. You're no longer asking, what does the backseat driver feel like doing? You're asking, where does my compass say I should go? This is the core of emotional maturity. It's recognizing that while you can't always control the first flash of feeling, you always have control over how you choose to respond. Let's go back to our scene one last time. The 90-second storm has passed. You've labeled the feeling of being misunderstood. The emotional impulse the backseat driver is screaming at you to prove your point and win the argument. But now you pause and consult your compass. I value being a respectful, loving partner. What action lines up with that? A. Suddenly, the path is clear. The value-based choice isn't to lash out. It's to say, I'm feeling really frustrated and misunderstood right now. I need to take a minute to think this through so I can respond constructively. That response is incredibly powerful. You've acknowledged your feeling, communicated it clearly, and honored your commitment to being the partner you want to be. You didn't let a fleeting emotion dictate your actions. You let your enduring values guide your behavior. Mastering your emotions isn't some mystical art form. It's a skill, and it comes down to a simple three-step sequence. Observe, label, choose. First, you give yourself the grace of the 90-second window. You observe the physical feelings without judgment, letting the emotional wave pass without being swept away by it. Second, you name it to tame it. You get specific, find the right word for the emotion, and turn on the lights to see it for what it really is, creating distance by seeing yourself as the observer. And third, you make a value-based choice. You ignore the emotion's short-sighted demands and instead consult your internal compass, choosing an action that aligns with the person you're committed to being. You don't have to be a victim of your own emotional hijackings. You don't have to live with the regret of words said in the heat of the moment. While these techniques are powerful tools, if you find yourself struggling with severe emotional dysregulation, it's always a good idea to seek support from a mental health professional. For everyone, remember that emotions are just signals, not commands. By applying these three rules, you can move from being reactive to being responsive. You can become the master of your inner world. Now that you have the tools to manage your emotional reactions, the next step is building the underlying resilience that makes these moments easier to navigate. To continue your journey, subscribe to the Stoic Room. Thanks for watching, and remember, reclaim your mind, lead with Stoic clarity.